Hi Noteboard Gamers and welcome back to Noteboard Gaming. I'm your host, I'm Mark. Now in today's video we are going to be taking a look at this game right here. This is of course Luthier, the next game from Paverson Games, the guys obviously behind the very excellent Distilled, which was just an absolutely fantastic game about distilling drinks, etc. I know many people have played it and love it. It's designed by Dave Beck and Paverson with the art by Vincent Dutray. It's Luthier, the art of the instruments, and it hits Kickstarter on the 16th of July. So Luthier is a 1 to 4 player game. That's right, you can play solo in this, and obviously I will be looking at the solo in this video. And it's a game of blind bidding as you are taking patrons that you have to make instruments for or repair instruments or perform for, as you then try to get the first chair in the orchestra to try and get the most points possible. Throughout the game there are various skill tracks to go on, there are various things to do like getting new instruments, getting patrons, doing performances and repairing instruments, as well as lots of other things, and you're going to be bidding against in the AI, obviously against in the solo game and AI. And it works very, very, very well. Now, the solo mode has been designed by Richard Woods and David Digby. And let me tell you, I played this first, I think, at UK Games Expo in 2023. There was no solo for it at that point. It was a very early prototype. But because of the blind bidding element, I wasn't sure whether they could incorporate solo into it. Well, let me tell you, they've done a bit of a masterstroke here because the solo works very, very well and is a very good challenge as well. So as I say, it's kind of blind bidding, semi-worker placement. As you're going to choose the action, you're going to put your disc onto the board and choose the actions that you want to take. We're using your various numbered discs that you've got. And you can see I start the game with my 5, my 1, and my 3 discs, and in round 3 I'm going to get my number 2 disc, and in round 5 I'm going to get my number 4 disc. So you get more actions as the game goes along. And I'm going to place these on the board. In a multiplayer game, you're going to place them face down. Obviously in a solo game, I'm going to place them face up potentially on there. And I can add to them as well because I can get these apprentices, temporary kind of workers that add 1 onto your disc value throughout the game to try and improve my score. Throughout this as well, the AI is going to use a clever system to place its discs, and it starts off with 1, 2, and 3 discs, and then in round 3 it gets its number 4 disc, and in round 5 it gets its number 5 disc. But you're going to shuffle these and move them around so you don't know what number's under there, and then card is going to tell you exactly where it's going to play it. And then when you do that, when you start unveiling the actions and who's going what, you're going to first of all rearrange the cards on the AI's board into a specific order based on your skill tree, on the AI skill tree, and that means that not only do you know where you not know what discs are going down, but also you don't know in which order it's going to try and reveal those. It kind of creates that tension that you get in a multiplayer game where either you choose, depending on turns orders, you're going to choose which action you want to unveil first, or your opponent is going to choose depending on whose turn it is. Well, that replicates perfectly on the AI board. Now, of course, it's a solo version of a very kind of a very involved game. So whilst not cheating, it doesn't cheat. It does kind of skip over a couple of rules or take a couple of liberties, but it works very well in the context of how it plays. So to play the game, you're going to set it up as if you're playing a 2-player game. And then there are some minor adjustments to do for the solo, and that's more or less what I've got here. I've got more or less everything set up for a 2-player game here. So I'll go down, show you exactly, kind of the finishing touches on setting things up, and we'll play around or so of Luthier just to show you the mechanisms, and we'll come back at the end of the video and discuss my thoughts on the solo of Luthier from Paverson Games. But let me tell you, I am really impressed with this. I played it solo a number of times. I played it with 2 and 3 people a number of times while I've got it. Once I've finished this video, I'm then going to send it off to Tom Heath over at Slicker Drips, who I should imagine will be doing a playthrough on this as well. And everybody I've played this game with has had a really good time with it. It may seem a little bit complex when you're first starting to play it, but trust me, once you understand the interconnecting mechanisms and what you need to do and how you're going to score your points, etc., then it becomes a real joy to kind of work out the dynamic and shifting puzzle. So without much further ado, I'll take you down to the board. I'll show you the kind of 2-player setup and the solo components, show you around of how it plays solo, and then we'll come back. So let's go down to the table. Okay, so you can see I've got more or less everything set out here for a 2-player game. Now, a couple of things to note. First of all, this is obviously still in prototype stage, so there's some artwork that says placeholder art on there, and I should imagine there's still a bit of tweaking to do in terms of how the game is going to be played, etc. But you know, if this was more or less the final game, then I'd be very, very, very happy with it. So to set it up in 2-player mode, and you can use this in, you can also use the AI in a 2-player game or a 3-player game if you want to as well. There are certain things that you have to do for 2-player. The first thing is when you set up the board, you're going to get a third colour to effectively block off some of the spaces. And you can see we've got little marks on here for in the orchestra pit where things go. So for example, there's a performance token there, there's a repair token there, there's a first chair there, there and there. So those are already kind of blocked off. The first chairs really generally can't be moved from there, but you may get the opportunity to get first chair in another couple of places. And that's how you're going to set that up. There's another couple of things as well. There's the market now place. So every round, the value of the cubes that you're going to be using, I think it's animal, wood and metal, are going to change. And every round you're going to change these markets. You can buy these at any point during your turn. But you always start off, I don't know if you can see that down there, it says M1. You always start off with card M1. You're going to shuffle the rest basically. And then that is going to be your market deck for the game. And each round you're going to turn that round. You're going to turn that over and do a new one. Now I've got everything set up for me. I've got my 1, 3 and 5, which you can't see just off the board here. I've already chosen, first of all, you're going to deal yourself 2 of these families, 2 of these, these musicians, and I've already chosen mine here, okay? And you're also going to deal yourself 4 objective cards and then choose 2 of them, so I've chosen those there as well. The AI doesn't get a portrait and it doesn't get objective cards, okay? It's going to work its things ever so slightly different. So that's kind of everything there. Also in terms of the AI's components that it uses, it's going to use all of them. It's going to need access to its instrument markers, its award tokens, which are these here, and also its repair and performance tokens. But you're also going to take some of the resource cubes here and put them on here, and this is going to kind of mark its skill track, because that skill track is going to be very important in terms of first of all, potentially getting additional bonuses, but secondly, resolving the order of the cards that is going to be played out on the player board, and I'll come to that in a bit. So, as you can see at the top of the board, we've got all our discs up there that are ready for playing, and this is obviously on the 2-player side of the board. There's a 3 to 4 player side on the other side of the board as well. So a couple of things to finalise my turn, okay? So it tells you a little bit about the portrait, the family of the portrait. Broadwood was an English piano maker during the classical era and famously gifted one of his instruments to Beethoven. So it's going to give me 1 animal, 1 wood and 1 metal cube. So we'll take these here. So we'll take 1 animal, 1 wood and 1 metal cube, and they're going to go into my kind of storage area, which is limited to 9 at the beginning of the game. If you place this award token here, let me just do this, so you can put this into your storage area just here. If you place this award token, you get another 3 spaces, okay? And it's also going to tell me to move up 1 on this particular track, which is this one here, which means I get a re-roll if I use any of those performance dice. And then it says double the patron placement bonuses guaranteed from your starting patron. So I'm going to get a patron soon and put that on here. But just before we complete my setup, what we're going to do first of all as well is continue the AI setup. So we're going to give them 1 patron card. So we'll just take one from the top here. And as you can see, we've got Ludwig II, basically, okay? And if you look here, there's 3 things that must be completed. They must build a primary instrument. Then they have to either build a primary instrument, repair an instrument, or do a performance, or build another instrument, repair, or do a performance to complete that particular card just there, okay? So that's going to go onto their board, and what I need to do now is look at the back of the instrument deck and take one of those instruments, and we're looking for a kind of horn instrument there. So if we do this, just get this pack, you can see at the top of each pack, just, there you go, it's got it what it is. So we're looking for the kind of horn one. Let's see if we can find one. There we go. So we're going to take that instrument and we're going to put that above their board. I'll just move these resources out of the way. Excellent. Okay. So just put that there for the time being. So we are going to then take that instrument and they place it face up above their patron and the AI's board, returning all instrument cards to the deck, maintaining the same order. So they've all gone back. So that instrument is up there, okay? They don't get a Luthier family, so I've got one of those, and they don't get gold cards as well. What they, as I say, what they've got is their particular set of cards. So we can see these are their action cards just here, and these are the first level ones because these are going to get upgraded throughout the game. They also have some level 2 of the same action cards. There we go, and some level 3 of the same action cards as well. And they will upgrade them as the game progresses, basically, so their actions potentially get just a little bit stronger. Okay, so we've done that, we've separated the action cards, and now we're going to complete my setup, okay? So we'll go back down to my board, which is just here. So for me, I'm going to give myself 2 instrument cards, 2 patron cards, 2 Luthier family tiles, and 4 personal goals. Well, I've already sorted those out. So let's get a couple of patron cards, 1 and 2. There we go, and a couple of instrument cards as well, 1 and 2. And we'll put that back here. Okay, so now I'm going to choose a patron and I'm going to choose an instrument card. So I could get, let's have a look here, we got Jaquette de la Guerre. And he needs a keyboard instrument to fulfill him. If I fulfill him, he's going to get give me 4 victory points and move me 1 up on this particular tracker here. Each round, as it goes on, you have to progress the track on them. You do get to reset it when you fulfill one of these obligations. So I'm going to start by getting an assistant, then 2 inspiration. But if it gets to the end, that's bad news for me. So you've got to try and not do that. Or I've got Pompadour, which requires a string instrument and then another string instrument or a repair and a performance, and a horn instrument, a wind instrument or a repair and a performance. It's going to get me 5 points and also going to move me up on the track. It's going to get me 6 coins, then 4 coins, then done. But again, I get to reset that the moment I've done any of those. And its ongoing power is at the beginning of each turn, I would get to get an animal cube, a white cube, and a wooden cube. And there we go. At the beginning of each turn on this, if I did a performance, I would get 2 victory points, I believe that is, yeah. So there are a number of things. They're either at the beginning of the turn they will give you a power, or at the end of the turn they will give you a power. Well, let's have a look at the instruments I've got. Okay, so I've got a string instrument, which is a lute, and I've got a keyboard instrument, which is a forte piano. So if you look here, the lute it only has a repair icon on here, so I could get a lute, but I could get a forte piano as well, and attempt to get first chair on them. But as I look here, this one is probably going to give me the most points, but this is a nice and easy one for me to get, and I've got the card for that. So that's what we're going to do, okay? So we'll put that back. I'll just put that up to the side there. Sorry, that back there. This can go back to the bottom of the instrument pile. There we go, and therefore we can take my card. So I'm going to keep the instrument in my hand and I'm going to put this on one of these here. Now you can't see, but they give you bonuses whenever you place a patron on here. This is going to give me 4 coins, that's going to give me a cube of any colour, and that's going to give me an assistant, okay? Bear in mind my starting power is I get to double that from there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 8 coins. So I'll put that on there and I will take 8 coins. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. So I've got 8 coins now and I've got a cube of each colour. So I'm more or less ready to go. So let's go back over now to the AI. So the AI, as I said, is more or less ready to go just now. Let me just put that there. Okay, so the AI is more or less ready to go just now. There's a couple of things that we have to do. The first thing is we're going to turn over one of its kind of family gold cards. You're only going to need one of these for the game, okay? So it's going to tell you the order of preference it's going to do things. So it's looking for kind of these are for the performances, if you like, heart, the column, and then the kind of fleur-de-lis, and then its preference for instruments is going to be keys, and then brass, and then strings, and its preference for placing awards as they go up is going to be the middle, the right, and then the left. And down here, these are where it's going to move up on its skill track to start off with. So it's going to move up 1 on portrait and 2 on the performance one. And then down here there's a number, and this is a number 3, okay? So this is to determine first player. And if you look at the back of my family portrait card, it says it's, I don't know if you can see that on there, it's number 1. Whoever's got the lowest is the first player. Well, I've got the lowest, I'm the first player, so therefore up on the board I'm on first player status. And that's it. Everything is now set up on the AI's board. A couple of things to tell you about. These are, say, level 1 cards. I'm going to pull 3 of those out. It's going to tell me where to put the cubes. Here are some awards that it gets. It doesn't work off the awards, kind of extra points like you do by fulfilling goals. It's going to move up these at certain points in the game, which you're going to ask it to move up. And you can see it's got space for 2 patrons up there. Okay, so we've got its 3 discs. We've got a 1, a 2 and a 3. I'm going to shuffle those up, and what I like to do is, as I'm playing the game, is just continuously play with them upside down, so I have no idea what's where basically, and we'll just put those there, and then we'll go for a first round of Luthier. So the first thing you're doing around is you look for any start of round bonuses, and that would be if I'd flipped any of these over and they have a start of round bonus. This card doesn't, I've got none at the top, so no start of round bonuses, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is move up the performance cubes, which is this here. This is going to give me a assistant. Obviously they haven't got any performance cubes, so we're not going to move those up. And then you get to place an instrument on your workbench. Well, I know I want to make this instrument, so let's just talk about making. There's a roughing and kind of a making side of the workbench. These are my roughing costs, and to make this I need to pay 5 wooden cubes, which is a lot basically. Okay, so I know I need to get some wooden cubes down here. Wooden cubes at the moment are 3, so I've got to find a way of getting 3. So that goes in there. Once that is done as an action, I can then move it over here to the other side where I can effectively make the instrument, and that is going to cost me 4 animal and 1 metal cube to make. When it's done, I would score the points on it. That would give me a wonderful 8 points, and I would put it under my patron, and I would move the cube back that way, okay? And that's okay. That means that I'm now in a position where, well, that would actually complete that, but you may get 2 or 3 items down there. Put it back there, and if there were more stuff to complete, you would move that back to the beginning. But I would complete that at that stage, and it would give me 4 victory points and move me up on that particular track, and then every time I got a performance, I would get 2 points, okay? So not the best instrument to pick at the beginning, a harp, because it's got a huge kind of production cost on there, so I got to find a way of trying to get some of those cubes, some of those resources for me, okay? So that's kind of the beginning done there, and then what's going to happen is we're going to effectively take turns now in placing our bidding cubes, our bidding discs on the board. So we'll zoom back out and I'll show you what happens, all right? Whew, right, okay, so first of all, I know I kind of need to get some cubes, basically. So if I look at the market here, it's going to cost me, how many do I need? I need 5 to do that. I've got 1, I need another 4 to do that. It's going to cost me 12. I've only got 8 coins, so I need at least another 3 to be able to do that particular action. I don't have that at the moment. However, you can sell your coins for there, okay? So, you can sell your resources. So maybe in lieu of another turn, what I actually want to do is I'm going to use my market. I'm going to sell my metal cube, and I'm going to get 5 back for that, okay? So here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So suddenly I've got 13 here. I know I need another 4 wooden cubes at a cost of 3. That is 12, so 4 times 3 is 12. So that's going to cost me 12, and I can take 4 wooden cubes, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, okay? So I now have 5 cubes. That is going to enable me to do my roughing action and move that over there, but I'm not in a position to actually do my manufacturing action just yet. But I got 5 cubes there. Started with 1, traded up, did my market action, and that's it. That is my go done. Okay, that was in lieu of actually placing a disc. So let's go over to the AI side now and have a look at what happens there. Well, as I say, I've been kind of messing around with these here, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to draw one of these cards, and then you're going to place it wherever it is. Excellent. So it's going to the balcony for its very first action. So we just take one of these random cubes and put it up into the balcony, and we don't know what that is. That is its first turn done. Okay. Then we go back to me. I've got to think about G's. Okay. So sorry, that should be up there. I've got to think about G's. Okay. How do I get either more cubes, or what do I need to do? Well, first of all, I could do with a roughing action. Now, I don't know if you can see it down here, but down here there is a a kind of bonus if you place a 3. If I put 3 down there, I'm going to get 2 inspiration tokens. Inspiration tokens can be used in the marketplace, or they can be used when you do a performance to increase your performance as well. Or when you're doing a repair, you can spend 2 inspiration cubes for one particular cube on there. Sorry, 2 inspiration markers for one particular cube on there. So let's think, maybe I do want to rough and I want to get it kind of high. I can get both of these at this stage. So I'm going to place my 5, there we go, down on there. Okay, that's my turn done. We head back over to the AI, who's going to place their second turn now. Okay, so their second turn is going to be, they're going to place one in their bench, their workbench. Okay, so again, it's got 2 left here. We don't know which one's there's going to be. So we place that in their workbench. Don't know how that's going to work, but we'll see what happens in a second. Back down to my next action. Now I've got a 1 and a 3 and also an apprentice as well. I don't have to use the apprentice. I can hold it until the next round if I wanted to. But let's have a think. So I'm going to potentially get 1 cube less on that. So that repair is going to cost me a lot. Now, look up on the board here. You get some 1s above some of the stuff. Oh, there needs to be another 1 in there. There we go. You get some 1s above stuff, and then the subsequent 2s and 3s, you have to pay for those unless you've unlocked a particular route on here where you can unlock them. All right, so let's have a think then. Do I want to do a performance? Do I want to get another patron? Patrons can be good, as they can allow you to get stuff, but that one again has got quite a bit of stuff on it. Okay, and maybe I get an instrument. I could do with it. Oh, isn't really a cheap instrument up there as well. You can pay extra for instruments, so I'm a little bit, and my okay, so here's what we're going to do. We potentially are going to move up here, and I'm going to place my 3 with an apprentice, which gives me 4, because that will give me 1 move up on this track, which will give me an apprentice next turn. Back to the AI for their final placement. Okay, so we take these cards and we have a look at their final placement, and here we go. They're going up to the instrument track. Okay, so they're going to get an instrument. Boom, there we go. Thank you very much. That's all of the AI's turns done. I still have 1 left because I use the market, of course. This is not an optimal round for me, but it's just to give you an illustration. You can tell that I sometimes lose this game. And maybe we get another patron. I could do with getting a patron that can kind of constantly give me stuff. The instrument's no good. That'll move down there. So we're going to place that one up there. So hopefully I can get that patron. All right, so that's the end of the round now in terms of placing stuff. But I'm just going to take you down to what happens with the AI and how they then shift these cards around. So before we come to resolving actions, we need to change these cards in an order, and you're going to go looking at what is kind of has the highest skill, and then what goes top to bottom, left to right. Now, the workbench one always goes to the end, so that will always be the last action, the workbench action there, okay? And it will rough and manufacture its instrument on the same turn as well, okay? So then we go top to bottom, because the portrait is a 1, music is a 2, sorry, performance is a 2, neither of those are there. We've got instrument, which comes before balcony. So this is the order that it's going to potentially resolve its turns in. However, that's dependent. I get first dibs on resolving. If I choose one of those actions, I get to resolve it. So I could choose a workbench action and steal its thunder a little bit there. Okay, but you know, we'll kind of do it the right way. But that's the order when it comes to choose. It chooses the leftmost action where it doesn't have a disc in there already. Okay, so that's how it chooses. So to help you along with kind of the order of stuff, we have this natty little kind of neck of a string instrument, okay? And I think what we'll do is it's my turn to choose first because I'm first player. We will resolve the balcony first, all right? So that's gone in there with a 1, that's fine. And I've got in there with a 3 and a 1, so I got 4. So I know I'm going first on that, and I get first dibs, all right? We'll come back to what happens on their turn in a second. So if you look at the top here, let me just zoom into the board up the top, okay? So if you look at the top up there, it says I get to either place an award marker, I don't have anything to place, get 6, or get 2 apprentices. Well, I'm going to take 6 coins because I'm a little bit low on coins at the moment. All right, there we go. So I've got my 6 coins, but it also says because I placed 4, and that's the sum total was a 3 of my token that I placed plus 1 for the apprentice, I get to move 1 up there, which gives me an apprentice I can use on my next turn. So I've already got an apprentice, which, as we know, adds 1 on the next turn. So now let's resolve the AIs go in the balcony. So because they are on the level 1 card for the balcony, it's this middle one here, okay, it's actually no further action. Now I want to show you something on these cards, okay. If the value of the chip that you place, or the token you place, is 2 or plus, it gets to upgrade it to the next level. And of course, as you get a level 2 on there, then it will upgrade it to the to level 3 as well. There will be a number for it to place. This is a level 1, so that was actually a decent first move for me. It does absolutely nothing for it. As you get to level 2, it's going to start doing stuff up there, but at level 1, it does nothing. So now we come to the next turn, so I'll just put my my chip over there. Okay, and now it's down to the AI's turn, and what it's going to do is it's going to look at its leftmost card that it has nothing on at the moment, and that is going to be instrument. It's the only one in an instrument, okay, and that's a 3 up there. So what it would do is, if it had a patron without an unfulfilled instrument, it would then look in the what's available there and take an instrument that would match that patron. All right, if there were none up there and it was on level 1, then what it would do, it would do this in order of preference, okay. If it was level 2 or 3, it gets to search through the stack and find the right kind of instrument. Well, this patron's already got an instrument, all right, so that's not going to happen there. So then we look here and we're looking for a key instrument. It's going to take the one furthest from the stack, and that is going to be a, here we go, it's a forte piano, okay, so that's going to go to the left of its pile, and that's that done right now. It still hasn't made the instrument, it's still in its kind of workbench, but it has, you know, it's got the instrument just there, all right. So that's the AI's turn. Back over to me now for my turn, all right. So I could do a workbench action, or I could take a patron. So the AI isn't up here, all right, so we'll take a patron, there we go. That's a level 1, so that gets me nothing up there. That's mine back, all right. The only one I can really take without paying anything is Frederick the Great, all right. So we'll take Frederick the Great and we'll put him on my cube stack here. I've got a apprentice, so we'll put him there, and I'm going to take a metal cube back because I know I'm going to need, oh, it's wooden cubes actually, sorry, it's a metal cube. I know I'm going to need at least 1 metal cube next turn if I want to actually make this instrument, all right. So that's my roughing bench at the moment. So that's my turn done. Now it's back to the AI. It takes the last one that it's got, and that is of course the workbench action, all right. So that's put a number 2 in there. I've put a number 5 in there, so I get to do my workbench action. Here we go. Right. So if we look here, my workbench action, first of all, I'm going to get, I put a 5 down. There's 2 bonuses here. I don't know if you can see them. 2 bonuses here. It says if I put a 3 down, 3 or above, I get 2 influence tokens. And if I then put a 5 down, I get 2 influence tokens, plus a cost of -1 on my roughing action. All right. So I'm going to take my 2 influence tokens. Here we go. We'll keep those. Boom. Thank you very much. So I've got those, I'll put those just there so you can see what those are. And as I say, I can spend those here in lieu of coins, or I can spend them here in lieu of to bump up my performance score. All right. So that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for my roughing action. We know that this roughing action is going to cost, and we go, 5 wooden cubes. I've got a cost of -1, so it's only actually going to cost me 4 wooden cubes. So we do that, and we move that instrument over to the other side of the bench. That is ready to be made as long as I can get now 4 animal resources. I've got 1. I think with a bit of jiggery-pokery next round, I could potentially do that. So that is my workbench action done. All right. So now we're going to go to the AI's workbench action. So we will take the 2 and we'll put that on there. Perfect, and it's going to make this particular instrument, okay? Now, it's going to make the instrument, it both roughs and repairs it without the need to spend any resources whatsoever. So it's going to do that, and 2 things are going to happen. First of all, it's going to flip that over, all right? So it's made that instrument. Secondly, if we have a look at the at Ludwig II, all right? His primary instrument is already made at the top of him there. There's a secondary instrument or a secondary requirement where he repairs, performs, or he makes another horn instrument, or repairs, performs, or he makes a keyboard instrument, which is this one here. Well, this is this one here, so it's fulfilled the secondary requirement. So suddenly, he's got 2 of his requirements done. It's going to take the 9 points, and over on the track, which you can't just see up here, is the track where it's going to move. So we'll move 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're already off to a flying start. They're well ahead of me. But also there's this icon just here, which means that it's going to put an instrument in the first chair of the forte piano. So we'll take this and we'll have a look for the forte piano, which will be, here we go, and it's going to take that first chair, which is really important for endgame scoring, getting the first chair. If I was to take it, I get the bonuses that are on there, but unfortunately they've got that now. So there we go. Wow. All right. So that's the end of its goes. You can see just exactly what happens there in terms of how it uses these cards and how it moves things on. Now, finally, before we do that, we're going to look at these cards here. Okay, so I've got two cards which I'm going to need to upgrade. All right, first one is the instrument, and it says, actually no, we'll do that in a second. We will absolutely do that in a second. There's something else that we have to do first. So at the end of the AI's turn, what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at upgrading its choices, basically its skill choices here. I'll leave that there because it's important. If you look at the bottom of the card, you've got these symbols just here. Okay, I'll come on to that one in a bit. This tells you which ones you're going to move down, and this tells you which one you're going to move up, and you do the downs first and then the ups. So we got that one and then that one in order. So if you look at all the downs, we know we're going to move the instrument track down 2. It's already down at the bottom, that's fine. Everything else is moving up, okay? The repair track is going to move up 1. The balcony track, there we go, see that? Balcony track and the performance track are both going to, well, balcony is going to move up 2, 1, 2. Performance is going to move up 1. That's already nearly the end of it, okay? And the instrument track is going to move back up here 1. Okay, so you can see its skills are different now basically on the board itself. You can see that it's got slightly different skills in terms of where its order is going to be, but it's also getting close to these bonuses. Now if I put these back in the order where they were as well, all right, I mentioned that you've got this here, okay? So if you look at this here, this says if I placed a 2 or higher on this card, I'm then going to upgrade this card. Well, I did. I placed a 3 on this particular card, all right? So we're going to upgrade that now to, so I'll put that to one side, to the level 2 card, which is this one here, all right? And if we look at the difference on those two cards, so we'll have level 1 next to level 2, all right? There we go. This gives it the ability to search through the deck. It's got, it's got slightly different here, but it's also telling me that if I now place a level 3 token on this, it's going to be upgrade to a level 3. So that's that one done. Okay, then we go here. The balcony card had a 1 token on it, so that's okay. And then the workbench card had a 2 token on it. And as we see there, that 2 is going to get upgraded. So we look for the number 2 workbench card. And we can see here on the number 2 workbench card, slightly different, and if I upgrade it to a 3, it's going to do a 3. So that's how you upgrade the powers throughout the game. A little bit of kind of end around clear up in terms of the table. So in terms of kind of clearing up the end of the table itself, any level 1 cards that are still left, you're going to discard those, all right? Then you're going to move everything down to the left and fill that space with cards from the pile. So there we go. So that's going to do that. That's going to do that. That's going to go there. That's going to do there. We're going to reset the market, my market. Remember the AI doesn't use market. I'm going to look at the next AI card. Okay, this works out well in my favour for the next round. Animal cubes are 2. I need animal cubes. Okay, do that. And that's it. More or less everything is now set up again for the next round. So for the AI, I've got all my tokens back. For the AI, I'm going to shuffle its deck. Okay, we've got its new skills up there. AI is there, okay? We look at the top of the board. I had the highest on there, so had they had the highest up there, they could have gone first, but I had the highest, so I stayed first. They didn't. I think I was 4 up there and they were 1 up there. So I stayed first. Had that switched around, had they got the highest token up there, up in the balcony, then they would have switched around, they would have gone first, and then you would begin the next round. That is kind of a really brief overview on how it works. The game gets obviously more complex as you have more tokens coming in from those in between the rounds. We're going to move that round to round 2. More tokens between the rounds. You're going to get awards being filled. You're going to be looking for the best way to try and optimize you. You get to use these skill tracks here. So moving up gets you access to different dice for rolling performances. And when you do a performance, essentially you take a performance card, all right? Okay, and you're going to look here and it's going to say, right, you roll the dice add the number of your token onto however many of these that you roll. So you can see they've got different different notes on there. So that would be 3 plus the number of the value of the token that I put on there. That will give you a total score, and then you get what's at the end of it. So 1 to 8 on this particular one will give me 5 coins, and 9 to 12 will give me 2 coins plus a performance token on the relevant area of the board, and that would be in, I think, I can't remember, is it classical, that maybe? That particular item could be classical, and also give me 1 point. And if I got 13 plus 2 coins plus a performance token plus a 3 on 3 points. Similar with repairing stuff, okay? So you got the repair icon, and that would cost me 1 metal to repair. I would get 2 points and also place a repair token. So these are repair tokens, these are performance tokens. If there's nobody else on these, you claim the bonus. If there is another token on there from another colour, as soon as you get more tokens on there than then, you claim that bonus. Unless you put an instrument on there, then that instrument instantly claims the first chair, but you can't put them on where instruments are already. You're going to go 6 round, toss up your points at the end, and there you will see who is the finest luthier in all the land. That, my friends, is a really brief overrun on how to play the solo of Luthier from Paverson Games, with the solo designed by Richard Wood and David Digby. And there we go. That is a very brief overrun on how the solo works for Luthier from Paverson Games. Look, obviously I've not gone into all the nuances and all of the rules, because obviously the more actions it takes, then you've got to understand what happens in those actions. But I think what Richard Woods and David Digby have done here is managed to achieve something which feels on the surface like it shouldn't be possible. I know David did a blind bidding system, I believe, in Tinner's Trail, and Richard kind of led the way on the solo design here, and David helped out, and it's absolutely flawless. It plays so well, and it's nicely aggressive. The AI is nicely aggressive as well. You're going to have to develop your strategies depending on what cards come out on the table, what your bidding mechanisms are, how the market's performing, where you are with your patrons versus the instruments that you're making, and whether you can, whether you need to concentrate on one rather than the other. And it just plays so smoothly. At first glance, the whole thing seems like it's going to be very complex, but it's really kind of it pays homage to those to the great Vital Lacerda games of kind of action selection, in the fact that you are defining and honing your strategy throughout. Thematically, it's on point on almost every note. I understand why I'm roughing instruments. I understand why I'm making instruments, why I'm fulfilling them to the patrons. I think the only thing that is a slight disconnect, and I'm not a musician, my wife and lots of her friends are, but I'm not a musician, is that the first chair is taken by an instrument and not necessarily by a patron. But this is a really minor niggle, I think, because those first chairs are really important. I understand you need, you're not going to put every patron on there, but you may want to do an instrument to get the first place. But that is really kind of looking and really scanning this very hard to find out what I don't like about the game. I've had a really good time playing this multiplayer and playing it solo. Solo game, your first one is probably going to take you maybe 90 minutes, maybe a little bit longer than that, but the more you play it, you can certainly get it down to less than 90 minutes. But that depends on your decision space, and what Luthier does from a solo perspective is it opens up the entire game for you, just as if you were playing against somebody else. What is best for me? What could they do? What cards have they got in their deck here, and what are remaining, and also what level are those cards? How are they going to potentially progress the next round? And you can start thinking about all these options as the game goes on. And it always is the case is that you will think, right, this is the round where I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do this performance, or I'm going to make this particular instrument. And guaranteed, that's almost going to be the round where you draw the bloody card out of the deck, where where they put one of their chips, and their chip is a higher chip value than your chip value. You've been scuppered there, and you've got to kind of readjust your strategy as the game goes on. The artwork is utterly stunning. I think, you know, I know some of it's placeholder artwork, but from what I've seen so far and what Vincent Dutray has done here, you know, it really feels thematic for the game. I think the game does take up quite a bit of table space. Even from a solo perspective, it's kind of on my, you know, it takes up all of my mat. So if you've got 4 players, then you're going to need a reasonable sized table, purely because of the size of the main board, which kind of needs to be that size to fit everything on there as well. But once you understand the mechanisms of the game, once you understand the flow of the game, once you understand why you need to do this, to do that next turn, and do that next turn, and potentially have a backup plan if, you know, if you get outbid on this section, then you really start to understand the flow of the game. And I think that is a brilliant point here, is just having not only it feel thematically relevant, but have all those mechanisms make sense and what you're doing and why you're doing things, really kind of rounds out the entire package for you. From the solo AI's perspective, you've got this blind bidding mechanism with the discs that they're going to be using, which, as I say, you know, you're going to have to find a way just to muddle them up yourself so you're not tracking which numbers. Certainly when you start off with the early game, you've got the 3 there. So what I do is say absent-mindedly throughout my turn or whatever is I'm just constantly playing with these just to mess them up. But that is, you know, that's only part of it. Having this kind of, this skill, their skills kind of tell you and dictate what order these cards are going to be resolved in is also really good as well. And sometimes as they come out and what's left and what's right can absolutely mess up your plans, because you don't know, or you can certainly take a guess from looking at the skills, but you don't know, you know, if their final card that's going to come out is going to go right to the beginning of the queue, and it could be the first one, it could be their turn, or they could have a higher chip than you, and it can really scupper your plans. And I think what Richard and David have done here is work in such a way to keep as much of that information from you as possible. It's, you know, you're going to have to work really, really, really hard to game the solo system, and that's exactly what you want. You want to be kept on your toes. At no point throughout playing the solo a number of times did I ever feel that this was unfair. Okay, it's no more unfair than a multiplayer, than another player in a multiplayer game kind of putting their chip and at a higher number than you in a place that you wanted to take. And I think that is key from a solo. There's so many solos out there where if the solo takes an action, you feel like it's cheated. I don't feel like it's cheated here. I understand what it does. I understand that it builds its, you know, that it roughs and builds its instruments in one fell swoop. But you know, that is, again, apart from your game, it would have been too difficult to track, I think, to do it another way. I understand why that happens. The key thing would be the placing of these discs and the unveiling of the numbers on there. And if you felt cheated by what's happening here, then it wouldn't feel good. But by the fact that you constantly kind of, you know, you don't know what disc is going out, you've got these cards kind of further kind of muddying the waters in terms of their resolution, makes it feel like you're playing against another player. It makes it feel competitive for you, and I think that's a really, really good kind of good system to have. So the solo version, if the game itself, you know, it is a more complex game than Distilled, there's no denying that, it is a more complex game than Distilled, but if this level of complexity, the theme, and this wonderfully woven tapestry of mechanisms that all kind of fits together, or should I say, hey, a wonderful concerto of mechanisms that all fits together really, really well, like very much like a well-scored opera, appeals to you, then trust me, from a solo perspective, there is a little bit of upkeep, not necessarily upkeep, it is minor, you're only doing these things on here, there's a few more rules to learn because it does some of the actions a little bit different to you, but once you understand them, and I've no doubt that they will have fantastic player aids, once you understand how it works, then you're going to have a fantastic time. And it's not just a practice game for a multiplayer game. It will play you very aggressively, but it will also get you used to playing the game itself. But it's very much a fantastic solo game in its own right. So this is Luthier from Paverson Games, designed by Dave Beck and Abe Burson, with art by Vincent Dutray, and the solo by Richard Woods and David Digby. It hits Kickstarter on the 16th of July. The link will be in the description below. There's going to be quite a few videos around for this game. This copy is going off to Tom Heath over at Slicker Drips. Tom always does fantastic videos, so make sure you go and watch Tom's videos as well. But for me, it's everything and more that I wanted from Luthier, and certainly when I played the original prototype last year, kind of 2023, I was worried about how they would implement solo into it. Richard, David, you've done a fantastic job. So do check it out on Kickstarter if it looks of interest to you. This is Luthier. My name's Mark. This is Not Board Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out our other videos. And one final thought, if you can't find anyone else to play with, then there's nothing wrong with playing with yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye.